The new Avatar The Last Airbender movie has just officially come out on Paramount, and it has me thinking a lot about the Avatar franchise, specifically The Legend of Korra. The Legend of Korra is the sequel to the Avatar The Last Airbender show, and it is probably the most controversial thing in the Avatar franchise, bar the live action movie, which you could argue Korra is even more controversial than. Why? Why is Korra so hated by people? Um, a lot of people think the writing is bad. People don't like Korra herself. They don't like much of the characters from the show. And I've watched The Legend of Korra a few times, and I have opinions about it. So that is why I'm starting this small series of going over every Legend of Korra season, the Korra Files. Today, we are going to be talking about Season 1 of Korra, which I believe is called Air. This is about the Equalists, Amon, Korra, her introduction to Republic City, our introduction to Republic City, and how she decides to handle the Equalist threat. So, enjoy the video, and let's talk about the Legend of Korra and answer the long debated question: is the Legend of Korra actually good? So the Legend of Korra starts with the scene of the White Lotus walking to this hut in, I believe it is the Southern Water Tribe. The White Lotus have been searching for the new Avatar after Aang's death, and they come upon Korra, a little girl, this the daughter of Tonrak and his wife that I don't remember the name of. Korra is a child in this scene, and she is seen bending three of the four elements: earth, water, and fire. Not air, but she is bending three of the elements. Now, it's debated among people whether she's a master of the elements. I think we can just say she's bending them, not that she's a master of them. But it is important to note that she is bending them. And then you get this scene of her kicking the air with fire or something. And then we do this huge time skip. She's suddenly a teenager. We're in a White Lotus camp, and she is training to become the Avatar. Now, there is something that I think a lot of people skip over in terms of the beginning of The Legend of Korra. It is the fact that Korra does not have her own Avatar journey. Something that made, for me, Avatar The Last Airbender so special was the journey along the way. You know, Aang had to learn the four elements. He already had air, but he had to learn the three elements. And it wasn't just about learning how to actually use them, how to punch fire out of his fist. It wasn't just about that. It was about learning about the cultures of the different four nations, about learning how to apply them to himself, and to learn, you know, it was in a time of war. The world needed understanding of each other, and so that is the role of the Avatar. He got to understand the four elements and their cultures. Korra does not get that opportunity. That is not really a fault of herself. That is the fault of the White Lotus, I guess, in the story, but it is the fault of the writers. Because I understand they only got one season, but I'm not really going to be looking at it in that way. I want to talk about this show as a whole, as one story. So, for me, it is a huge shame that we did not get another Avatar journey. Now, you can say, well, we already did that in Avatar The Last Airbender. It would be boring if we did it again, but it wouldn't be, because that's the whole point of being the Avatar. The whole point of being the Avatar is that you go and learn about the cultures of the world, you embrace their cultures, you learn about the elements. That is what the Avatar is. Korra does not ever in the entire show get that opportunity to embrace the cultures of the four nations or the elements. I don't want to go too deep into this, but I feel Korra herself as a character would have benefited hugely if she had gone on her own Avatar journey, learning about the four elements and embracing them truly, rather than us doing a huge time skip of her just learning them in a camp and just learning how to fight with them. But anyways, Tenzin comes to the camp and blah blah blah, a lot of stuff. Korra wants to go to Republic City. She sinks on the ship. She goes to Republic City. We also see Katara, but I'm not going to spend too long on that. But the long long story short, Korra gets to Republic City. Immediately, she is faced with a problem: the Equalists. She meets this small guy on a stand who is, you know, preaching to a bunch of non-benders in the city, or benders, I think mainly non-benders, though, talking about Amon, the new villain for the season 1 of Legend of Korra. Amon wants to remove bending from the world. He believes in a completely equal world, and he believes that bending is bringing inequality, and they want to get rid of it. Korra has a strange approach to this problem of the Equalists, and it is her fault, but you can also see why she does it. Korra is immediately dismissive of the man. She's immediately dismissive of the problem as a whole and kind of ignores it until we see her, you know, stand up for a person at a shop who are getting attacked by the triple threat triad. But that is not really because of the non-bender oppression. It's just oppression. But she is dismissive of this problem. She's dismissive of the Equalists, and she tells the man, you're oppressing yourself," or something like that. Now, I say this isn't fully Korra's fault, because she was kept in a camp her whole life. She couldn't learn about the problems of the world. She hasn't gotten to learn about the perspectives of other people. But again, that is a writer's problem, and it doesn't give Korra a good look. It doesn't. It makes it difficult to like her, because I'm an Aang fan. I love Aang, but if you put Aang in that situation, I think he would try to understand it. But anyways, Korra is dismissive of the problem. She gets in trouble with the police, and eventually gets to go live on Air Temple Island with Tenzin. And she begins her air bending training. Korra finds air difficult. The other 3 elements came very natural to her, and she just can't seem to crack airbending. And it's because she does not know anything about the spiritual side of bending, because she was in a camp her whole life. She didn't have that opportunity. She never had a spiritual guider. So naturally, she struggles with airbending, and she has a very ignorant approach to it, may I say. She doesn't really try to understand Tenzin. She's very impatient, and, those are flaws. She gets over them, and she kind of becomes better with them, but she struggles with airbending. She can't do it for the whole show. She just can't figure it out. She can't figure it out at all. So that is an interesting problem that I feel doesn't really get addressed very much. But anyways, now we go to meet our 2 best friends, Mako and Bolin. So Korra goes to this pro bending arena where she finds Mako and Bolin beating up some people on a team. The Fire Ferrets is what they are. And Korra, well, she has eyes for Mako. Mako is hot. He's a firebender. Get it? Hot? No. But Mako is your classical, stereotypical hot guy in a show. He's a Zuko ripoff in terms of his personality, not his backstory. The backstories are fairly different, but in terms of his personality, Mako is like a copy-ish version, except he's just shit. Because the thing is with Zuko, Zuko was kind of arrogant. He was a bit emo. He was dark and stuff, but he also had a kind heart. We saw that consistently through Avatar: The Last Airbender. Zuko was just naturally a kind person, but he was, this darkish figure because of his past. Mako is just kind of a bitch. I mean, he's not really a kind person. He doesn't show any ounce of personality other than liking women and pro bending. That's kind of it. Mako has nothing outside that. He is simply there for Korra to crush on. Then you get Bolin, who I like Bolin. and Bolin likes Korra, and they go on a date. But then Korra cheats on Bolin with Asami. Well, not Asami. Ugh. Korra cheats on Bolin by kissing Mako, even though Mako is dating Asami, who got introduced earlier. Because Mako hit her with a bike, or no, Asami hit her with a bike, him with a bike. Um, Bolin's an interesting character because I do like him, but I try to be unbiased here. He's a little bit shit. He is. You can see what they were going for. He's their Sokka. He's the Legend of Korra's Sokka, except Bolin's just a bit of an idiot. Like, Sokka was at least pretty smart. He created the balloons. He created a space sword. He was a military strategist. Bolin is kind of just there to be funny. And that's not a super bad thing. It's at least better than Mako just being an emo. It's at least better than Mako just being an emo, but like, Bolin isn't really anything outside of that. He's like decent at earthbending. He's not anything special. He learns how to lava bend later in the show, but that's not in this season. So Bolin's kind of boring. Asami is the daughter of Hiroshi. I think I'm gonna go with that. I don't remember his name fully. But Asami now is a daughter of this guy, a businessman. Capitalism. I need to talk about Republic City itself, actually, but I'll keep going with Asami. So, Asami, again, is kind of a nothing character for, like, a long time of the show. She's just the cool tech girl. I don't have anything really to say about her. I've never had strong feelings towards Asami. I've never really cared for her. You could have written season 1 without her. You could have written season 1 without Mako and Bolin. You could have written season 1 without the White Lotus. That's a big problem with Korra. They have a lot of unnecessary characters. They have a lot of unnecessary additions and storylines. And this love triangle between Korra, Asami, Mako, and Bolin is all so shitty and boring, and it's so draining. No one likes love triangles. I don't think I've ever met someone who likes love triangles. Now, Republic City itself. New York. That's kind of what Republic City is. I hate Republic City. I despise it. They could have made it so interesting. You know, this intersection of the world after the 100-Year War. Imagine if you had water tribe towns on the coast. You had air nomad temples. You had fire-bending cities. You had earthbending academies all across the city. It was just a huge, but it's not. It's just New York. There's no culture in it. It's just New York. It's typical America. I don't know. It's like, I think Korra is supposed to be the industrial era of Avatar. But the thing is, I've read a few of the Avatar novels, and the world never changes that much. They have some technological advancements, but it's nothing major. So this leap from the 100-Year War to just America is just unbelievable. I mean, it happens, I suppose, but it just sucks. Like, there's no personality in Republic City. I have no strong feelings towards it. Actually, I thought it was better in the Avatar movie, but it only really showed up for 2 scenes. So, but Republic City is shit. I don't like it, and I don't care about it. And I think that's something that makes Korra such a unlikable show for people, because we don't really care about the place. Like, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, you had a lot of memorable locations, but Korra doesn't really have that. There's no real memorable location in Korra that I look back on and think, oh, that place was pretty. That place was cool. I don't think that. Republic City is just boring. Let's get into Amon again, the egoist problem, because I've kind of not talked about it now for a while. So, Amon wants equality. He believes benders are facing oppression. But herein lies our first problem about this claim. Benders aren't really facing any oppression. Non-benders aren't really facing any oppression. We see one example of it the entire show, and it's not even really non-bender oppression. It's just oppression. I don't think the triple threat triad are specifically attacking that shop because they're a non-bender. I think it's because they're a criminal gang. Without that instance, we don't have any non-bender oppression apart from when Tonrock, this councilman, um, puts a curfew on non-benders. But this is kind of after the problem emerges, so it's a little bit late to be showing me that it is a problem. Tonrock is an interesting character. He's a corrupt councilman. You don't like him when you watch him, but he is a good character, I think. He's kind of interesting. His backstory, interesting. When I was watching The Legend of Korra for the first time, I thought Tonrock was a Mon. I thought that's where they were going with it. But they didn't, but I thought they were. And I think that would have been better, but who am I to say? If only they made him look a little nicer anyways. But whatever. Egoists. So, there's this huge conspiracy. The Asami's dad's company is actually corrupt, and they're building weapons for the Equalists because, apparently the Equalists just want to fight people now. And they also kidnapped Bolin. And Amon can take people's bending away. I don't know. The thing is, the Equalists, Amon himself is cool, but like their problem is so unwarranted. That it just reads as random. I don't buy that this is an actual problem. Basically, long story short, Tommy's dad's company is corrupt, and Hiroshi is a terrorist. There's also this huge place, the pro bending arena. Amon infiltrates it. He blows the place up. It's a classic terrorist attack, and takes away one of the pro benders bending, and then tells people, if you stand in my way, I'm gonna do this to you. Amon is cool. He gives a cool speech about equality and blah blah blah. Korra tries to fight him. She breaks through the roof. Lin helps her. And Korra tries to fight Amon, but fails. But it's okay, because you can't have your final battle this early. And then Korra confronts Amon. She says in a loudspeaker to the whole city, Amon, come and face me, or you're scared. So Amon comes to face her on an island, which is really stupid. Korra's really dumb for this, but whatever. Amon says, I could take your bending away right now, but I won't. You'd only become a martyr and stuff like that. And Korra is scared as shit. She cries to Tenzin, and she has nightmares about Amon, and she's scared of him, naturally. That guy, he's scary. He's got a creepy mask, he's got a creepy look, and scary guy. So, I don't want to spend too long on this. We eventually get to Amon taking over Republic City. He blows up the place a little bit. He kidnaps some councilmen. He takes away people's bending. Korra finds Amon. She fights him. She infiltrates as an equalist, and we also get the reveal that Tonrock and Amon are actually brothers, and Amon's real name is Noatok. They had an abusive dad who got his bending stolen or taken by Aang, and Amon Amon believes that bending is the root of all evil in the world because his dad was abusive. It's interesting, but like, turns out Amon's actually a bender. This sucks. Like, I had such a cool villain idea. Amon claiming that the spirits gave him this power to take people's bending away. But he's just a bloodbender, actually. And I feel like this gives such a bad message when when there's like groups of people trying to stand up for social equality. Well, this show is just saying that their problem isn't actually real and their leader is a part of the problem. And they're just lying as a means to gain power. Now, all in all, that is what Amon was doing, but it's not a good message to be sending out, really. But basically, Amon takes Korra's bending, but then she magically unlocks airbending and saves Mako. And Amon falls through a window, his mask falls off, his scar was fake all along, and he swims away, waterbending, and the whole city sees that he's actually a fraud. And you know what happens after that? Nothing. Nothing happens, because the problem was never real. They were only getting rised up by Amon, and once Korra beats him, everyone just acts like it never happened. It's never mentioned again. Non-benders aren't protesting, they aren't giving out, they're just getting on with their days. So, again, that just tells us that quests for social equality aren't actually real. Their leaders are just using it as a means to gain power, and the oppression people face is not real, and it's all pointless, really. That's kind of what this show tells us. Now, Korra only has one element, and then Aang suddenly appears on a cliffside and gives her her bending and the Avatar state. If you thought it couldn't get any better, God. Korra gets everything given to her, doesn't she? I mean, she didn't make any real progress with her airbending throughout season 1. Airbending is the spirit of freedom, of spirituality, but Korra never once in season 1 showed any signs of becoming more open to solving problems. She never negotiated with the Equalists. The only reason she was confronting Amon was to fight him. She wasn't trying to understand his problems. She never gained any spiritual understanding of any of the elements, and yet she can just suddenly burst air out of her fists. That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Look at how Aang had to struggle with earthbending. He could not do it for ages because he was so stuck to his air nomad culture, detachment and all that. But he had to embrace the culture of the Earth Kingdom to actually bend the Earth. Korra never once does Korra embrace the air nomad culture. Not once. At most, what she does is wear the outfit of an air nomad, but that's it. That's it. It's just so annoying because she makes no progress in the show and then it just gets given to her. It's like, okay, this would be a cool moment if we had actually seen progress, but it's just a moment that's given to us without any real reason. It might be exciting at first, like, oh shit. But then you think, why did that happen? There's no reason for this to happen. She hasn't done anything to earn it. It's a solution to a problem that hasn't been earned at all. And then Korra gets the Avatar state by Aang. She doesn't get to go on some journey, understanding the elements. You know what would have been really cool? Korra realizes at the end that the only way she can get her bending back is by actually trying to understand the elements, to embrace the culture of them. That would be cool. She gets to go on a journey all across the world. We meet new friends that are actually interesting. And we get to learn more about the elements, and Korra gets to embrace their culture. That would be good. That would be a good premise for the rest of the show. Now, yes, I know they only got one season at a time, but I'm looking at this as a whole. But no, Korra just gets it given to her by Aang. And Aang also looks really bad. That's not Aang. That's Abraham Lincoln. That's Abraham Lincoln dressed up as an air nomad. I'm sorry. That's Abraham Lincoln dressed up as an air nomad and he forgot his top hat in the morning. Like, there's no culture at all in the Legend of Korra. They completely disregard any of the cultural significance that made Avatar The Last Airbender special, that made it stand out from other shows at the time. Like, there was nothing quite like Avatar when I was a kid growing up. There was nothing quite like it. It wasn't stereotypical. It was different. It embraced cultures of the world. And then Legend of Korra just dumps on that because it prioritizes cool moments over an actual good story. It's the problem with, big studios nowadays. They think that it's the cool moments that make us get attached to stories. And yes, cool moments are cool. They're damn awesome. The edits are fire. But that's not what makes them special. A cool moment isn't cool unless that cool moment is earned. Like, again, with Korra suddenly airbending, that moment was not earned at all. But when Aang got to finally earthbend in the Avatar The Last Airbender, that was a cool moment because it was earned. He was trying to earthbend, and he actually embraced the earthbending culture. So, Legend of Korra Season 1. It's a rough start. It's not terrible. I know I've said a lot of bad things about it in this video, and I'm sorry if I've been a little clunky in my review. But I'm just very, get a bit on a rant. I'm a little bit upset about how this show went, because it could have been so good. But I think Amon kind of hard carries Season 1. I see a lot of people have Season 1, really high ranking, and I would put it as one of my favorite Korra seasons. But like, the bar isn't very high so far. I would give Korra Season 1 a 6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10. I think Amon is good, but then he gets ruined and rushed at the end. I think Korra has such an interesting proposal for a character arc. You have a bratty Avatar who actually wants to be the Avatar. We could get a journey of her, learning to become more humble and embrace the elements and still live with her, somewhat arrogant personality. But we don't get that. She just stays the arrogant Avatar throughout the entire season, mostly throughout the entire show. Most of the characters are shit apart from Amon, Tonraq, Korra, Tenzin, and Lin. The Airbender kids, Janora, Iki, and Milo are decent, I will say. They're decent. But everyone else is kind of crap. Bolin is at least funny, but that's it. So there's nothing much to him. There's no meat, There's nothing interesting to talk about. Korra, the only reason I really have her up there is because she is the main character. She is the Avatar, and she's just at least she's like a kind of a more interesting arc than the rest of the characters, but it's not really saying much. Now, obviously, you can't fit a whole arc, 3-season arc for 3 characters in one season, but it's like there's no real story. There's no real transition. Korra doesn't change at all, apart from getting another element at the end and the Avatar state. That's the conclusion of Korra Season 1. She doesn't change at all. The only conclusion about Korra herself is that she starts with 3 elements and then she ends with 4. And the Avatar state. And none of it was earned. At all. So all in all, Korra Season 1, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I do like it. I have good memories with it because I really enjoyed it as a child. But when I look at it back as a little bit more mature, from a more unbiased perspective, I can see there are a lot of flaws with it. But what I will say is that I think it is better than some other content that Korra has produced. So 6 out of 10. And if I'm being generous, a 7, but I'm probably going to stick with a 6 because I could go lower if I really wanted to, but I'm going to go with 6. So that is Korra Season 1. That is the first episode of the Korra Files. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be talking again soon. I'm sorry if I'm a little messy with my words and what I'm saying. I just love this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.